We're in the middle of the so-called monsoon season in Colorado, so every day seems to be overdeveloping pretty early, and in particular this day didn't look like a likely suspect for good XC because the OD was really close in the horizon. However, we got off launch and it wasn't too bad. The um, instability was pretty good and top of leaf was quite high, so as long as we would be able to access it in the morning hours, it could be quite fun. Here I'm catching the first thermal. A friend of mine shows it to me, and I try to milk every bit that I can of it, but it still doesn't get me established high enough to do the crossing. I had an idea of trying to first go south, uh, and so somehow that stuck with me. So I went back over the ridge to see if I can find something there, and indeed, finally, I was able to find a pretty strong 2 meters a second thermal that I was able to take high enough to do the crossing to the towers. I arrived to the towers at a decent height and was shooting for the biggest tower to see if I can find some lift over there. I was thinking the wind was coming quite from the east or maybe east southeast, and I was thinking maybe this side would be working the best, also heating in the sun. And indeed, I found something over there. This place is a little bit tricky because you don't want to be too close to the cables. There's big cables off that big tower. You end up arriving a little bit low. Um, that area tends to be working the best. That's pretty close to that tower. So I was able to skirt the cables from the side and get a little bit higher, and then I tried to push back upwind and see if I could catch that same thermal again and get established again a little bit higher. And this is exactly what happened. So I get a decent climb from there, and at this point I was kind of thinking uh, that today had some south components, so it might be more fruitful to just fly north today rather than uh, fight the wind and try to make progress to the south. So that's what I did. I came over Galbraith, and interestingly, with my assumption of a little bit of south component, the south face wasn't working at all. So I ended up almost bumming out here. I went on the north side. I ended up a little bit on the lee, and some trashy air, and kind of escaped from there narrowly. Uh, and luckily, I found a climb over the next hill and was able to now get established a little bit higher. Looking back, I should have maybe realized that it was more north and just went at the front side of the hill, on the east side of the hill, and tried to catch some northern side thermals. Uh, but luckily, I was able to survive it anyway. Interestingly, this area seems to be working really well, and I'm constantly trying to push a little bit more upwind, and I'm just catching more and more consistent thermals. I can see the sky also is shading out now quite a bit, so I don't know how long the day is gonna last. I went on Glide more out front, trying this new strategy of staying out front as I can, and tried to see if I could find the thermal over the cement factory. Um, and I did have indeed I found something very light, but not enough to really work. So I just pushed forward over the Ralston Buttes because I felt I have enough altitude to make it over there. And indeed I made it there, but it was kind of shaded, so it was hard to find anything consistent there at this time. So I was just trying to survive and taking any bits that I can, working every piece of lift. And the sun was popping out a little bit every now and then, but very still shaded. Eventually I was thinking that I might bomb out here, so I tried to push out closer towards Coal Creek, try to work this hog back over here with the houses, and I found something there that drifted me further west, and I kind of just took it and went with that drift and tried to get on the back terrain over here. And so sometimes this area works pretty well, and indeed this time there was some thermal releasing from this bowl, and I could just take it and run with it. So uh, so I got established really high here. It's about 2 meters a second thermal. It was quite nice, not a lot of drift, and eventually I ended up exiting it because there was a United flying right towards me. So I didn't want to be on their way. So I just went out, and now that I lost it, I thought the day is probably gonna be ending soon. So it would be nice to make it back to Lookout. So I just went on a long glide back. Interestingly, the glide was quite efficient. I wasn't losing that much height, and I was able to glide with that single 12,000 feet that I had all the way to Lookout. I was thinking to this time try to go over the North Table Mountain and over the city. The city seemed to have some sunlight, so thought maybe some thermals would be releasing there, and indeed there were some, but very light. Um, and I could see Cam thermaling below me, and I just joined him there. I didn't have much objective anymore. I was just thinking it would be really cool to top land. I had my car at the top launch, so so I just used the thermal as long as I could, and ended up doing some wing overs and top landing in these perfect conditions. Conditions were pretty nice because uh, there was no strong lift. Everything was shaded out, so it was really smooth to land over there. I feel I got quite lucky with the day that that I had some small bits of south component when going north, and when going back south, I felt like I almost had also downwind all the way back. So I was able to just glide back from that single thermal. All in all, I was very happy with this flight. This turned out to be really nice out and back with the top landing right back to the car, and I wish I had more of these to come.